Let's get salty!
Hey everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and it's time to rate all of the priest cards from Fortitude and the Barrens on a 5-star basis. 5-star being god tier, 1-star being unplayable trash, and again we're reviewing in both standard and wild. So let's take a look at the priest cards. So first we have the 0-mana holy spell, Desperate Prayer, restore 5 health to each hero. Standalone card, not very good, nothing particularly great, but it will unlock some synergies on some really good cards that we'll take a look at. So just for that, I'll give it a 3 for standard. In wild, I don't think you're putting this in a big priest or a Raza priest, and I don't think any other priest deck is really popping up anytime soon, so I'll give it a 2 for there. But again, you might be able to justify it just because it's 0 mana. It could be free pinged with Anduin. Next we have Condemn ranked spell. It's a ranked AoE for priest. The first rank deals 1 damage to all enemy minions, second rank is 2 damage to all enemy minions, and third rank is 3. This card kind of sucks. It's like Arcane Explosion until turn 5, and then it becomes okay, but a priest in standard does not have a lot of good AoEs. They're losing breath. All they really have is Soul Mirror, and Wild Pyromancer's also rotating, so their options for AoEs are not great. And Condemn, I feel like, is gonna have to make priest run like Moarg Artificer or spell damage like Blood Mage again to like enhance their AoE abilities, because they're gonna need it. They don't have a ton, so for that reason this card I think will see a lot of priest play just because they have to. They're just not tons of AoE outside of Condemn, Holy Nova, and Soul Mirror. So I'll give it a 3. In standard it'll see play. In wild there's just way better AoEs. Just you're never running this. I'm gonna give it a 1 for wild. It's just not very good. Next we have one of my favorite cards of the set, and it's a priest card, Serena Bloodfeather. It's a 2-mana 1/1 legendary minion. Battle cry, choose an enemy minion, steal attack and heal and health from it until this has more. So if you see a 3/3, you'll steal until it becomes bigger, and this will become basically what, a 2/2, and that'll become a 1/1. It has some really weird implications. It's like a neutralizing minion that's very frustrating because you need to remove it because you don't want to, you know, priest likes to buff stuff with like Apotheosis in that. It's kind of like the replacement for Mind Flayer Kahar. It's that really annoying neutralizing minion that like you kind of have to deal with, and it can remove any big threat for the most part, or at least make it not that big. And there's implications with like Cabal Acolyte being able to play this and then steal something. There's that fringe application. So I think it's a really sweet card. I think it's really good, really annoying. It's priest, but doesn't do anything random, and it's just a pretty cool, interesting effect. I'm gonna give it a 4 for standard. I think it'll see a lot of play. In wild, not so much. None of the decks there really care about the board. It's either big priest cheating out stuff or Raza priest, so I'm gonna give it a 2 there. Not really gonna fit into any archetype that I can think of. Next is Sorceress Caravan, 2-mana 1/3 minion. At the start of your turn, copy a spell from your opponent's deck to your hand. This card is complete garbage. It has to live. Again, these Caravan cards suck, and the effect of it's not particularly great. The spells can often be useless, like you're facing a weapon rogue. Oh good, I got a bunch of random weapon buffs if this somehow lived, but it's a 2-mana 1/3. It's never living. This is a 1-star in standard and wild, just unbelievable hot garbage in my opinion. Then we have Devouring Plague, 3-mana spell, lifesteal, deal 4 damage, randomly split amongst all enemy minions. So it's like kind of like Cinderstorm, 1 less damage, but it's only minions. It has lifesteal, and I think this card with Condemn and the fact that I think you're gonna have to run Moarg and Priest, it's just really good with that. Like think about with Moarg. I know it hits Moarg, but it won't die until it resolves. So that's like 8 damage of lifesteal. That's very powerful. And just, you know, with a lot of 1 health stealth minions, say from like aggro rogue, it's really solid. It's a good AoE. It's good healing. I'm gonna give it a 3 in standard. It'll definitely see some play. And again in wild, you just have better options, so I'll give it a 2 there. But you know, it's a pretty cool card. I like the design of it. We have Void Flare, 4-mana 3/4 minion battle cry. For each spell in your hand, deal 1 damage to a random enemy minion. So if you're holding 1 spell, it does 1 damage, period. For this to be worth it, I feel like you need to be having like 5 or 6 spells. And as a priest, when you have cards like Cobalt Spellkin leaving the game, you know, you really need your Sethic to go off really early to make this worth it. I feel like this just doesn't line up currently. There's not enough spell generation, believe it or not, in the current priest decks for this to be good, like a good curve play. Maybe really late in the game it's all right, but then it's too late for that. So I'm gonna give it a 2 for standard and a 1 in wild because you're never playing this in wild. But yeah, I just don't see this Priest making the cut currently. Then we have Zarella, 4 mana 4/4 legendary Priest minion battle cry. If you restore it health this turn, deal that much damage to all minions. This makes Desperate Prayer good, right? 0 mana, restore 5, and then boom, dealing 5. And it just says restored. It doesn't matter to what. This can be 4 mana, deal 10. It's insane, right? Like, it's just really good. Even if it just deals 2 with your hero power, that's incredibly strong. And you know, you have Renew in the game, which you can make 0 mana pretty easily and set up with Palm Reading. This card's nuts. It's going to be auto include in like every standard priest deck for I don't know how long, because it's a crazy AoE. And you can raise dead it as well. I'm giving this a 5 stars in standard, one of the best legendary minions in the set. And in wild, I don't know if you can justify this. I don't think you can. I don't think the synergies are there. You don't want to build around this like you're probably going to want to do for standard, where it makes a lot more sense. So I'll give it a 3. It might pop up as a fringe like AoE option in Reno Priest, but that's probably it. But I can't rate it lower than a 3. It's so good. Next we have Priest of Anshi. And Anshi, I don't know, 5 mana 5/5 taunt minion battle cry. If you restored health this turn, gain +3/+3. Again, if it's restored to whatever, it gets the buff. And a standalone is a 5 mana 5/5 taunt. That's not bad. And then anything on top of that, it's great. And you're going to be running cards like Desperate Prayer and Renew and all that to make your Zarella good. And that's just going to coincidentally also make Priest really good. I don't see why you're not running quite often a 5 mana 8/8 taunt, and at the worst a 7 mana 8/8 with taunt. It just seems good. I think you throw it into certain decks that care about that stat line, and I'm gonna give it a 3. I think it sees play in Priest. It's an absurdly large taunt that's gonna be really, really frustrating to deal with. And in wild, the strategy is just not a thing, so I'm gonna give it a 2 there. You're not putting this in big Priest. It's just, yeah, it's not good enough in wild. Next we have Lightshower Elemental, 6/6 elemental with taunt. 6 mana as well. Death Rattle, restore 8 health to all friendly characters. The stat line's good. The effect is an insane amount of healing that hits everything, not just your hero, but all minions. It's incredible. It's just a really good card. It's getting a 4 in standard. It's going to be thrown into a ton of decks. It's ridiculous heal, body, get it back, enable a bunch of other heal synergies. Just really good. Priest can actually heal now, and that's kind of a rare thing for Priest, which is quite shocking because they're supposed to be good at healing. So yeah, 4 in standard, and in wild it screws Polk out. It's maybe good enough in big Priest, maybe. So I'm gonna give it a 3 in wild. It could be a big Priest minion just because you can constantly resurrect this taunt that will heal you over and over and over, and that's pretty good, honestly. And lastly, a power word Fortitude, 8 mana spell, give a minion +3/+5, costs 1 less for each spell in your hand, and this effectively costs 7 because it counts itself. So for this to be good, you need it to be 3. That's where I figure 3, even 4 is too fair. It needs to be 3, which means you need another 4 spells in your hand. This is a created by card in my opinion. You're gonna get off Palm Reading, you're gonna get off a Renew, and sometimes it's gonna be really sweet, but overall I don't think you're building your deck to be that spell heavy to make this card worth it. So I'm gonna give it a 2 in standard and a 1 in wild because you're absolutely never running this in wild, never. So there you have it. That's my review for all the Priest cards. Priest loses a lot of their generation, but they get an insane toolkit here of like healing and removal and just minions that are going to be incredibly hard to remove. And when you have Raise Dead and Apotheosis and you have Rally, and we'll get to the Watch Post cards in the neutral view, I think Priest is going to really like those as well. Priest will be playable, and I'll probably be very upset about it, but if you're looking forward to playing some Priest, it'll probably be pretty good. And again, in wild, it's ridiculous still. Don't worry about it. It's Reno and Big Priest are just really, really solid. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.